What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and this is your 6-star bronze preview of Bianca Belair GlamorEST. So we're in the Retro Rewind MLC, where we're seeing the modern era characters cosplay as legends, and yet far, everybody has been based around a musical theme. This one, however, is based on like the glamour shots, the glam of the 80s, 90s era, especially the early mid 80s. So not really musical, although there was glam rock, but she looks like she's wearing her leotard. She is ready to go like jazzercise or something like that. And shout out to the design crew, because she just look at that little swoop of hair on the side. It's all done up. Like, this is really, really solid artwork. So thank you for that, guys. Multiple movesets we're going to run, but first, she is a Legends era. She has just her basic gear to start. Her trainer ability at 26k is cross break gems do 75% more damage, and green moves start with 2 more MP. We are being told that is specifically put in there with Rockin' Roman in mind, although my favorite moveset version of him does not use that. But it is important to note that just like Rockin' Roman last week, she is also a focused powerhouse. The big difference, of course, being she's a lady. And so we now have 3 ladies that we have added into the game in somewhat recent months, between Sherry and then Rhea and now Bianca. So that is really nice, and Rhea is fairly accessible. I'm guessing she's going to come at a premium because she does have some power behind her. So on the moveset, you can see above, we're going to start with triple red. You're going to start with the 450 splash on the bottom. 8 MP red move deals damage and chooses 1 gem to make into a 2-turn Juggernaut gem. Now, it is important to note you are not going to want to use Goldberg or Seth freaking Rollins to buff and add more Juggernaut gems, because she throws out 36 of them, so 2 Juggernaut gems would actually overwrite the Juggernaut gems and mess up the effect. So the first turn is going to create botch gems. The second turn, it's going to turn all of them red, but spoiler, they're not going to make it to the second turn. The alley-oop is going to deal some damage and force your opponents to skip their turn for 2 turns. And then the spear finisher deals 1.5 million damage plus bonus damage for every botch gem. And we're not going to use it, obviously, on this moveset, but it would also gain 9 green MP. On the entourage, you'll see above that I am using Bloodline Jimmy. Most people, that's going to be their most accessible botch gem trainer. However, mine is only at 3.7k damage per botch gem. I don't have him maxed out yet. So I am going to sub for the gameplay Becky, which she's doing 60% more botch gem damage, and then 50% more botch gem damage with Stacy. Because they're 8 and 10 MP charge moves, you are going to need at least Butch plus either Piper or Bulldog. Bulldog does 45% more damage. You, in most modes, if you want to start her turn 1, would probably actually need to run Butch and Sting if you have him. But for now, that's how we're going to set it up. And then on the strap, it's a 30% gem damage strap with Double Fury 2. This one right here does add a slight amount to red moves, but it is not a powerful one there. And then I've got 2 different plates on here, the Tested Loyalty and the Sheriff's Badge. But the reality is, I'll have to show you a variation where I just let it go to swipe, but in practice, I haven't seen where this has gone off because she beats them too quickly. What a problem to have, right? So yeah, let's see this moveset in action. Because of the tour perks and everything, she is starting loaded turn 1. Again, you would need Santa Hogan possibly, and your double MP trainers in most modes to make that happen. So we're going to start with a stun. That's going to be 2 turns, and it's the same stun as the acro, which I like the consistency. What can I say? You're going to throw out then your Juggernaut gem, place it somewhere somewhat obscure, preferably on a loot box, but the reality is she's not going to touch the board anytime soon. Then you do not go for your finisher. Here's where in most cases you would want a red match to make this work, make it happen, but since she's already loaded, you just need to make a swipe so that way your botch gems go out. And so now once the botch gems are out, they're going to cover most of the board, and you are doing 204, almost 205k bonus damage for every botch gem times 36. That is a beefy hit. Frequently hits in the 9 million range from what I've seen so far, so she's not going to get up from this. Yeah, that's right there. 8.6 million. And don't let it be missed, you've got botch gems out there. So even if somehow they did have the power to kick out from that, they hit botch gems, they're not going to win. So that is a pretty safe, pretty guaranteed move set. I'm going to show it to you one more time, though, just so you can see what happens with the gem damage going off. Because, you know, that's technically the way it's designed. Otherwise, how are you going to see the plates and stuff? Same move set, just going to power through it here real quick. We're going to throw this one down. We are going to then put the juggernauts, and we're just going to not use the finisher for a minute. Also, in multiple play testings of this, I have not gotten a red swipe one single time. I swear it's against me somehow. Because look, I don't have one here either. You want to avoid as many botch gems as you can. That'll only eat one of them right there. She's still stunned. And then now we do the gems to red, plus the sheriff's badge goes off, clearing most of the board, 2.6 million. So you see right there, you don't even need the rest of it, because she also then gets a turn. So yeah, I just wanted you to see it. It's not as impressive. It's not as impressive as the finisher. So that's this moveset. Let's take a look at another. The next moveset we're going to look at is going to be triple green. So I know what you're thinking, chic plate, right? However, the moves, they don't quite flow that way, and they're only 200k each. Usually chic plate, I mean, you got options out there that are starting with a base of 1.8 plus million, and none of her moves are doing that. So once again, we have a juggernaut move, the military press slam, 278k, that is, damage. Choose one juggernaut gem, 2 turns. First turn, it's going to make the bottom 2 rows into multiply gems of strength 9, and then on the second, it's going to turn 14 random gems of those multiplies into green. So once again, you don't really need a juggernaut gem trainer or coach because it's going to it's not making additional, it's just the same 2 rows. It's not going to buff them, anything like that. So no real chic plate utility, and I don't believe any juggernaut utility. However, the torture rack, generate 38 random subs and do 491k damage for 3 turns, and then remaining turn into botch. That's pretty good. And then you've also got the spine buster, deal 200k and choose 7 gems to make red. So from there, you could do a red into green plate if you want to go ahead and try to load your moves earlier, get the sub going, etc. But that's really that utility there. You could, of course, put in your finisher because that's going to gain your green MP, but you already have the ability to gain green MP as long as your juggernaut gem doesn't get broken. So that's that. Entourage wise, we're going to do the sub buff, right? So it's 1.3 million for 4 turns. Plus, you are using your gem damage with the Juggernaut making multi. We will buff the multi gems. If you know me, I don't have your best multi gem coaches. I don't have Memrock, and I don't have Sherry. So mine will be a little bit more limited, but I will show you this with that as well. All right, because the tour perks, everything is starting loaded turn 1. If you don't have Regal, you can use somebody else who would buff the sub a little bit higher. You can use your multi-gem coaches, etc. But you're going to want to put your Juggernaut gem down, Do not put them on the bottom 2 rows because those are going to get overwritten, so you don't want that to happen. And then you're going to throw your sub, which is 38 random gems. So as long as that Juggernaut's the only thing out there, it's not going to overwrite it. But once there's botched gems on the board, if you were to recycle with a plate, oh look at that, she almost broke it, then that would mess it up. So you run that risk, right? This is a little bit trickier. So now you've got the board in front of you. You can see she's actually about to sub me. So I can just throw down my red gem damage right there and get it done. Or I can go into the 2-turn multis because the next turn it's going to make 14 of these into green, which is going to flawlessly reload our moveset. But since she's going to sub me and I don't want that, I'm going to try and take her out with the red gems right here. I'll just throw that there for a match. Bam, bam. About 2 million. So she's going to sub me anyway. Yep, there that is. So you can see the good and the bad about that one. I'm going to buff the multi-gems next. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, same move set. The only change is we are going for multi-gem instead of the sub. We are still keeping Mr. Bruno Sammartino here for 50% more plus 1 green sub turn. We're going to need to start our moves loaded, so we've got George Steele. I've got Matt Hardy on here. If you have Raquel but not Matt Hardy, Raquel will bump him up a little bit, plus do 50% green gem damage. So you got that. And again, if you've got Mem, if you've got Sherry, if you've got basically any multi-gem people, that's where you're going for. I'm using Gunther because I've got multi-gems do 60% more damage, and I'm not throwing anybody else in this spot. I do have, I think it's Miz, 15% more, but I'm not throwing them on there just so you can kind of see what that would look like. Your other alternative would be to put green gem damage right here, which would be your Lex, your Wolfpack Lex. So let me show you what this does with this setup. Same formula as before, just avoid the bottom 2 rows. I'm going to put it right there. We're going to throw down our sub, which is going to give us the turn we need so that the multi-gems go out. Then we're going to take a swipe. She doesn't have her sub loaded. Hooray. We also don't have what we need there to do a green match, but that's okay. And now those are going to turn green. So they're times 11. So that is a 4.7 million hit. Flawless reload. Your Juggernaut gems are ready to go. Your sub is ready to go. You're just going to keep doing that. So that's the other variation on triple green. Let's take a look at something different. All right, this is the last variation on the red and the green moves, potentially the one that hits the hardest because it can take advantage of some of the plates and some of the other things there, but you're doing the Spine Buster on the bottom, dealing damage, choose 7 gems to make into red. Your submission, generate 38 random subs, which are going to do 3 turns of damage at about 500k, and then going to turn into botch, which is then what your finisher is going to feed off of. It's going to deal 1.5 million damage plus bonus damage for every botch gem, pin the opponent, gain 9 green MP, so you're flawlessly reloading that sub, which is also going to pretty flawlessly reload your finisher, although you're choosing 7 gems and you need 10 to do it. So you are kind of, you're going to have 1, so you're going to need an 8 match instead of 7, etc. On the Entourage, I am running a couple rare trainers on here. I'm running Wade Barrett. Botch gems at 18k are doing 75% more damage. I don't have him to 26k where he would do 100% more damage. Obviously, you could run him on the other build, but again, we're worried about getting started loaded turn 1 and etc. You've got George Steele for green moves, Becky for more botch gem damage, and then also Stacy for more botch gem damage. Now, you do have still a less likelihood you're going to proc the Sheriff's Plate because it's 15, but it's still on there. However, whenever you break 6 or more red gems, you increase your red move damage by 75% for 2 turns with the tested loyalty plate. So that one is going to come into play. So once again, I still recommend keeping the gem damage because that's all going to help with your botch gem, and the finisher hits insanely harder on the botch gems than it does the move damage, but that does give you a bit more move damage as well. So let me show you how this one goes. Let me see you how this one goes. So your green moves are starting loaded turn 1. Your spear is starting loaded turn 1. So all you need is 6 gems. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a top row match. Or actually, in this case, probably going to do the side here because I don't want to... let's just set up a fun cascade right there. Actually, no, the botch gems are going to screw that up, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to do the match on the side. Make sure I have as little chance as possible as cascading, even though I slightly did. Now your finisher's ready. Your torture rack is going to go. You're going to get 1.5 million basically sub damage out of this. You're hoping she breaks as few as possible because on the other one you have 36 out there. And in this case, she's eaten some of them, right? However, you did proc the plate. So now your finisher is doing 2.4 million damage. So it's buffed up. Plus, you're still doing another 278 bonus damage per botch gem. So again, you're going to see her melt. Then you've got flawless recycle. Doesn't matter. She's gone. Flawless recycle. But yeah, this of the combinations we've seen so far is the best variation, especially if you have the tested loyalty plate. But there is one last interesting moveset I want to show you. The last moveset is really interesting. It is a kick-out moveset, so it's one that not a lot of people really like. There's nothing that moves the pin bar over or anything in your favor in these moves. And these 2 yellow moves don't really connect to anything else. You can put the spear on there. You could also, of course, put the stun on there, but you need them to pin you. So really this kind of flows interestingly, and also interestingly, she has a yellow finisher as a powerhouse. I'm sure there's others that have done that, but that's new in my mind at least. Anyway, so the no rest for the EST. EST. While being pinned, kick out, deal damage, a significant amount of damage actually, and then make 48 random gems into botch gems. That's all but 1. Gems broken during kick out do not deal damage to the opponent, can't kick out while in danger. And then the finisher, deal a good amount of damage and make 9 yellow MP reappear and then pin the opponent. So the idea is you lay down the botch, you pin them with a pretty beefy finisher, and they're done. But you have to get pinned first. Also, if you were to have all of those botch on the board and hit your finisher, the red finisher, that would do some amazing things. Also, you're dealing 48 random gems, so it leaves just enough room for one of your juggernauts. But this one right here would turn 36 gems into botch gems, which would then turn them into red. So you could do that, but then you would have to lose the finisher. So, you wouldn't really gain a whole lot with that. Or you could do this one, but then it's going to turn the bottom row into multi-gems, which are going to turn green, and that also isn't the game plan for you. So I think it's this. For me, honestly. The entourage, again, pretty interestingly, you are going to run Asuka, or you could run, I think it's Chad Gable? No. Captain Lou. I believe it's Captain Lou. I don't have him. Anyway, who would do your finisher buff damage. But in this case, Asuka does 100% to both yellow moves, plus gives yellow moves with a +2. You need Kofi so that you can start as close to loaded as possible. You still will need a match or Santa Hogan, so I know some are going to want to run Hollywood Hogan or Santa Hogan in one of these 2 spots. K-Quick for yellow finishers do more damage. I don't have him to his max trainer ability, so he's at 30%. And then, again, Santa Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, or in this case, I have just left Stacy for botch gem damage, on the odd chance that we get to the spear. On your plates, interestingly, this one right here is called Vintage Glamor. We all thought it was going to be for Showboat Wendy, but I think this plate's actually made for her based on the names here. So you break green gems and you get yellow, which would then mean that the Juggernaut gem that breaks yellow would or breaks green gems would work together with this, but either way, this way you can break green gems or yellow gems and get back to yellow. Let's check it out. It's a little weird. So we are loaded turn one, and we want her to hit us, but we can hit her for 3.4 million right off rip. So yeah, again, it's weird. I can hit her, and she's just gonna stop getting up eventually because this is going to reload our move over and over again. So there was that. Yeah, see, we could just keep hitting her. Ultimately, we want to botch out, but 3 million a hit against a 6-star silver is not going to do a whole lot, but against a 6 bronze, I mean, it's going to take him out pretty quickly. I don't want her to sub me, so I am going to drop that down with a prop. However, I would love her to pin me, and so if I could get that finisher of hers to load, that would be phenomenal. Yeah, but she's going to keep getting back to her sub. So yeah, you can see it's a moveset that's based entirely on getting pinned, but nothing really moves the pin bar. So eventually I'm going to let her get, there we go, let's do that. She'll take the black one. No, she didn't take the black match. Why would she? Why would she take the black match? That would make too much sense. And I cascaded. So now we got to start all over on the move the pin bar game. Okay, she's got her finisher. I have wasted way too many props on her, but at least she can hit me with her finisher. Green will reload my moves. Hooray. Oh, her finisher's a sub. Yep. So that's the struggle with this moveset. Theoretically, you could, get it going and do a bunch of damage. You're doing decent move damage every turn. It's not one that's consistent or reliable in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I don't know what to do. I could keep showing it to you, but it's just going to give these same results. So, that's all I've got for her. Let's check out the after party with Rusty.
Radical, awesome, tubular, not gnarly, not
Gnarly.
bodacious, positive or negative?
Yeah, bodacious was like, of course, I remember, it was the 80s and it was used as a slur against women. And we've got a women's preview, right? Like, oh, she was bodacious. Well, I guess wouldn't be against, but it
Because I
was
was gonna say bodacious
objectifying.
Bianca is
Yeah,
glamorous,
yeah.
and I don't. This is my theory. Like week one of this um, MLC, I got the plate called Vintage Glamour, and it doesn't make sense who it works for. And like my theory in watching your preview is like, oh, she's the
It's
Glamour
for her yellow moves.
EST. So
Yeah,
I guess this plate inspired her, or I mean, like she, I guess, is inspired by her, right? Is what I'm saying. She's the
right.
glamorous, and it's got the green and yellow. And although watching you play, maybe green and yellow isn't the way we want to be thinking about her specifically, but the moves, it's almost like the plates are inspired by the superstar, but not necessarily for the superstar. Would you agree with that this month? Kind of what we're
Yeah, and I
seeing?
think that makes total sense because we've all been guessing that the vintage glamour plate was going for Wendy, Showboat Wendy, but
Right.
we've
And
already had
yeah,
our Showboat, so I doubt that she's going to be one of the reworks at this
right,
point. It's just interesting because yeah, you called it the move set that would most work on is the one that maybe they're thinking that's going to be people's favorites, but it's just those kick out moves. They're when they work, but when they
right.
don't, you're spinning your wheels, man.
Well, and I don't know, watching you play, and then I'm even reminded of like, say, like Trickster Rey Mysterio, like
Yeah.
if the kick out move is the best move, they're probably not the best superstar, right? That we want to be
Right.
using.
Yeah.
At least that's my synopsis of Ray is like,
Right.
I don't know if I want to be pinned and be put in that position to where then I have to kick out for big damage. I'd rather
Right.
be proactive about it. I loved the simplicity of watching you play through Triple Red. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of what I was thinking as well as I first started because it's a
Yeah.
powerhouse, right? So it lends itself to red move damage, red gems.
Right.
Any thoughts initially on the red versus green and some of the things that you did there?
Well, yeah, like I show in the video there, the double red with the green that makes red is probably the most consistent move set, and it
Mm,
seemed to be pretty close to the most powerful. The Juggernaut gem ones, both sets of Juggernaut gems are good, but you're chasing turns basically. So triple red, at least they're stunned, they're stun locked, right?
right.
The green, you're breaking the bottom rows, you're turning them green, but none of them did as much damage as the per botch. The
Yeah.
finisher really was the damage dealer for her, and so either triple red or red green would be my pick personally for her,
I
even though
liked
I do love a
red
good stun
green.
lock.
Well, I liked red green for one simple reason. I thought now I have somewhere for my showboat Grayson Waller to actually settle in and be a dual MP trainer because
Right.
I don't have a Fatu or someone who
He doesn't work on
um,
Fatu very well.
because you're doing triple green with Fatu,
Triple
right? So
green,
like
yeah.
just the divert those specific colors of red and green simultaneously. I don't think I have anyone that I'm trying to do that with at
Right.
all. And so Waller feels like this is a cool trainer that I got and worked him up and like doesn't really have a home. So um,
Right.
and then my other takeaway was, hey, maybe Rockin' Roman, maybe we were a little short-sighted on him because with Bianca there making making the green and the X break even 75% more potent, that like now Rockin' Roman definitively is like the acro just killer with
Mm.
her and his entourage. And so I think Roman's stock actually is rising after everything I saw you do with Bianca. My thought was I probably need to go hard after Bianca, if for nothing else, to make the Roman that I shard recruited more viable.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I mean it's possible. And let's talk about just real quick her spot in the game. I think for most people, the biggest draw for her is going to be that she's a powerhouse female. If you did not get Liv, Zombie Liv, who I think is better
I did not.
than Bianca, but I didn't get her. I got Becky, and I think Becky's better. But anyway, but if you didn't get Zombie Liv, your next best is either Piper Niven, who's okay,
Yeah,
she's good,
yeah,
but not, or is going to be the powerhouse Stacy, the superhero Stacy, who I love. I think she does phenomenal, but again, she's meta dated at this point.
yeah,
So for 99% of the people who get this powerhouse Bianca, she's going to be your best powerhouse female. Your most available, your most powerful. Plus, of course, Legends era. So now we've got Legends
yeah.
era Rhea and Legends era Bianca this month that fills in gaps that we have had in the game for literally all 7 years.
Yeah, and Raquel is still feels um low availability. Like if you have Raquel
Yeah,
on
I
your
didn't even think about
roster,
her because
right.
of she's so rare. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and sadly, this may be the only Raquel we get because in IRL, she's dealing with some health issues that have sidelined her and potentially may not be because it's like it has to deal with her dermatology and her skin and the lesions that she's getting from her
Crazy.
ring gear. So it's like a serious, like very,
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
very abruptly interrupted
Wow.
her in-ring availability, and she's out there. And anyway, because I love Raquel, I was really sad to see her as an emerging star and then have to just disappear.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen Raquel continue to build and probably getting the spots that Nia Jax has been getting. Speaking of powerhouse females in the game, I don't think
Right.
anybody's
Nia
excited
Jax is
about
dated
Nia.
by a
Yeah,
landslide.
yeah.
You can't even drip plate Nia Jax and make her good in the game. But anyway, any final thoughts on Bianca herself or this gameplay?
I mean, I I was reminded of how much better you are at previews than I am watching the complexity and the thought process that you put in, the intentionality into each trainer and all of that. And even like the plates that you have, the NWO plate, great call on that. I don't have
Yeah.
it, so I wouldn't have been able to make Bianca shine the way you did. And I think this superstar is it warranted that kind of preview. So I'm really glad that you took the reins on this one, and I, we're gonna in case you're watching this in real time, we're gonna be back with another video soon, talking about maybe how to win this Bianca this weekend through our
Yeah.
weekend contest walkthrough. And so if you're watching this first, give a search for that and check us out. If you have not yet realized, we're also on Twitch on Friday nights on the WWE Champions main channel. And so we'd love to have you with we don't quite have a name for our show. We maybe SmackDown, but you don't want to be posting SmackDown spoilers necessarily. You'll get booed out of the chat
Right.
if you if you do that. So anyway, yeah, back to you, Lee.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this preview of Powerhouse 80s leotard wearing Bianca. Yeah, like this video, share it with your friends who are asking how to run her, and be sure to keep coming back to Champions Chat for more helpful content. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.